First of all, when Jesus says, "Father, you have hidden these things from the wise and the intelligent," he's not attacking higher education, okay? We all need to grow in wisdom, knowledge, understanding. Would you want your priests standing up in the pulpit who'd had no knowledge of the scriptures or the teachings of the church? Of course, we need to learn, and we need to learn a lot. How often do I remind my young people preparing for confirmation, they got to learn their catechism because they're going to go out into the world and be challenged about their faith. And when people ask you, what do you Catholics believe? We can't be answering, I don't know. We should be knowledgeable. And education is always a good thing. But there's some truth in the words of Jesus, because it seems to be the infants, the simple people, who seem to be especially blessed through faith. Look at the apostles of Jesus. None of them were priests of the temple. At least 4 of them were fishermen, very likely illiterate. The others were not the high and mighty of society either. They were the infants that Jesus called to follow him. How often does he refer to his own disciples as little children? But in their simplicity, in their lowliness, they had faith, and they could appreciate who Jesus was, while so many others, high and mighty and educated, rejected him. The little ones recognized him as the Son of God, as the Messiah. How beautiful it is to be small and simple. Think of all the different Marian apparitions that have happened over the centuries. Our Lady of Guadalupe appeared to Juan Diego, not to the bishop. Our Lady of Lourdes appeared to Bernadette, who was not exactly a high achiever in school. Our Lady of Fatima appeared to 3 shepherd children. You have revealed these things not to the wise and the intelligent, but to infants, the simple, the lowly. As much as I've had to do my theological studies, sometimes I envy these little old ladies sitting in the pews of my church, holding their rosary beads and praying so fervently with all their hearts. And I say to myself, they're closer to God than I am. It's not my ordination that makes me holy, but that simple trust in God, that simple, unshakable belief. I do a lot of funerals for rather old immigrant people, and I admire them too, because in the countries that they came from, they didn't have university education. Some of them only got as far high as grade 3. They could read and write. And most of them didn't have the ability to go into business for themselves. They just worked hard and sacrificed. But they had faith. And in their faith, they were able to accomplish so much because they knew that the Lord would guide them and help them and strengthen them and give them courage each day to fight the good fight. Again, they were like infants, not the high and mighty, but in their simplicity, they were able to simply depend on God, who they trusted would always be on their side. I'll never forget a friend of mine who'd gone on a mission trip. You might know that Haiti is the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere. And she went there to work with the poor, and she came back to Canada, and she said, we're the ones who are really poor, because those people there were so rich in their faith. The Father did not reveal things to the wise and the intelligent, the high and the mighty, the PhDs, Nothing against PhDs, of course. But when we think too highly of ourselves, then we make ourselves equal to God, and we forget how much we need Him. So hopefully we can all rediscover a little bit of our childhood innocence and simplicity. And then, yes, the Lord will make Himself that much more real to us. We're not going to throw away all of our books or degrees, but hopefully, like infants, we'll discover that we do have someone who takes care of us. Not me, myself, and I, not my strength, my beauty, my intelligence, but a loving Father who provides for the needs of His beloved children.